All right, back to the Spirit Sports Talk Show. Luke Inman here with KARE-11's very own Reggie Wilson. And Reggie, we had a wild one to say the least. Tuesday night, right in the backyard at the Target Center, the T-Wolves went blow for blow with Paul George and the Clippers. In the end, though, it was D-Lo. It was Anthony Edwards coming in the clutch down the stretch, leading the team to the 109-104 victory, and in doing so, locking themselves into the 7th seed in the Western Conference. They're now going to face the 2-seeded Memphis Grizzlies. But before we get there, let's take a step back and take a closer look at what took place Tuesday night. And Reggie, again, I know you were in the building. I need you to start with just how big of an impact Patrick Beverley had in that game, not just on the court, but the energy he instilled into that playoff type of atmosphere at the Target Center Tuesday night.
Man, it was everything, right? That's exactly why they traded for him. They wanted to get a guy that been there before, that had that type of experience. You know, this is mostly a young team. I said on the air the other day at KARE-11, this team is filled with guys who have not been in this position before, guys that are in their 20s. They signed Greg Monroe as another veteran presence, and he's in his 30s. But other than that, other than Patrick Beverley, everybody else is in their 20s. They haven't done this at this level before. Patrick Beverley had a little bit of a chip on his shoulder because he felt like the Clippers wrote him off. So it was a little bit personal for him. So he was extra jacked up, a little erratic at times. But, you know, you'll take that from a guy that's supposed to be like an emotional leader for you guys. And it's funny because he's kind of like Draymond Green. Like the stuff that he does doesn't necessarily pop out at you on the stat sheet. I think he only had like 7 points or something like that. But he's a spark. He gives you that energy. And I feel like the Wolves have an edge to them because of him. And they kind of take on a little bit of his identity. He was able to kind of like steer the ship a little bit when things were a little rocky to start. It just seemed like when we were first watching, there was a team that had been there before with the Clippers, you know, so much playoff experience with, noted playoff P, if you will. And you got Patrick Beverley on the other side who kind of matched that. And so when they came out and they struck the Wolves and kind of punched them in the mouth, he was able to kind of help like get them back on track because Cat was a little erratic. You know, the team just seemed a little bit out of sorts. And he was just, I remember him looking at some of the players like, hey, come on, let's go. Let's do this. And they really rallied behind his energy and his effort and really kind of just were able to like channel themselves and really play to their potential. And it was great to see them reach it.
Yeah, no doubt. And I want to preview this Grizzlies matchup coming up Saturday, 2:30 afternoon tip-off in Memphis. But a little bit more deep dive again on this game. I mean, back and forth again, trading blow for blow. Down 6 at the end of the first quarter. They rally back second quarter, lose the lead third quarter. I mean, there was times, Reggie, when if you didn't know the score, it just felt like the Wolves were down 15 or more, right? I mean, Karl-Anthony Towns doesn't get his first point until 4 minutes left in the second quarter. That was on a free throw. He didn't score his first bucket until the third quarter. Obviously, got into serious foul trouble, which we'll talk about a little bit more later on. Patrick Beverley, again, as you mentioned, 3 fouls early on. So D'Angelo Russell, though, really outside of Beverley was the glue for sure. I mean, he put this team on his back, 29 points. And then again, you got Anthony Edwards, just this superstar in the making, 30 points at the end of the night in the box score. And as far as just the back and forth playoff style of pace and atmosphere, what was another takeaway, I guess, that you had just from this game that we can glean on? Maybe what we'll see come Saturday against the Memphis Grizzlies.
I think one of the biggest takeaways is that the Wolves have the talent to compete with anybody in the West.
Yep.
It's them putting it all together. It was crazy to see, and it was awesome to see, you know, covering the Wolves this season. They've gone on these runs where, you know, they've won 6-7 games in a row, and you're like, wow, like this team has it going, puts it all together. And what I thought was interesting was that they did not have to rely on Cat because they largely didn't have him. He only had 11 points. He fouled out with like 7 minutes left to play in the fourth quarter. we know that D'Lo can be kind of streaky sometimes. And it was interesting talking to him after the game. He was just saying, like, when I'm having a bad shooting night, I can pass my way out of it. When I'm having a bad distributing night, I can shoot my way out of it. And this was a game that they really needed him to step up because they didn't have Cat. That's why they brought him here, was to be that piece. And like I said, he can be streaky, but and it looked like early on in the game, it was like, oh no, like he's not there. But he turned that thing on and really became a guy that they could really count on down the stretch. I mean, those big threes in the fourth quarter, he loves it. The ice in his veins. He really played to that. And it was interesting too, because Ant made the comment after the game, they were scared to guard me, so I took advantage of it. Imagine being a team scared to guard Anthony Edwards. Woo! Like, what are you doing? What are you doing? A big part of that was in the fourth quarter. He's bringing the ball up the court, and all of a sudden they don't even try to guard him, and he just goes right through the middle and slams it on all of Los Angeles. And it was so interesting to see, like, this is a young superstar in the making. He literally has no, like, idea or thought of the moment. It's not too big for him. He's just like, I'm just going to go out and ball and do me and just, try to stop me if you can. And it seemed to be that the plan was to stop Cat and to fluster him. And they did that. They succeeded with that. But what I think was the cool thing to see as they move forward against Memphis is that they can do that. All right, try to get at Cat. They have capable playmakers around Cat to overcome when he's having one of those nights that he just wants to forget.
Perfect little segue again. When we break down this Memphis T-Wolves, again, talent galore. But you just mentioned it, right? I mean, the Clippers coach, Tyronn Lue, kind of laid out a pretty solid blueprint. I know you know more about this Grizzlies lineup than I do, so I'm going to kind of tee you up and let you go. But I know the Grizzlies have a Defensive Player of the Year candidate in Jaren Jackson Jr. What's kind of the blueprint, if you're Memphis, to utilize that Tyronn Lue kind of game plan against karl-Anthony Towns?
It's interesting because big guys kind of tend to give Cat some fits, and it's when he just doesn't care is when he excels. And I think he's going to have a level of I don't care in this series, like bully ball. I think what was interesting in the last game was that they made the decision to kind of bully him a little bit, and Cat did not change up his play. Like, maybe get down in the paint and just, strong arm your way into some buckets down low, high percentage shots. But instead, he still tried to, shoot it and, all those good things that usually he's doing well, but just didn't seem to be there for him on that given night. And I think what he's really going to have to do is if, he's getting in foul trouble, if he sees the shots are not falling, get down there in the paint, challenge guys like Steven Adams, challenge guys like Jaren Jackson Jr. Look, I think the world of JJJ. I think that he is a burgeoning star in this league. And he's got all this length, and he can also shoot, and he's developing his moves as a post player. I think he's very strong. Steven Adams, the Grizzlies have this like mentality and have had it for a long time, this grit and grind like mentality. They're gonna like bruise you. And then all of a sudden you got this big flashy guy named Ja Morant coming through and just like yamming on your family, like hide your kids, hide the children, shield their eyes, because he's gonna come through and just jam on the whole team. And look, Ja's gonna get his, okay?
No
like
doubt.
He's one of those players that you can only hope to contain. If you try to maybe turn him into more of a jump shooter, that is a recipe for success, I believe. I don't think that he's a bad shooter by any stretch, but I do think that he's more effective when he's attacking the rim and going hard at the basket than he is, when he's spotting up jump shooting. I don't think that's his game. And I think if the Wolves want to maybe slow him down a little bit is maybe, they clog the lanes a little bit. Maybe they put Beverly on him a little bit to make him just kind of be a pest. Pat Bev can get in guys' minds and really kind of fluster them a little bit and just annoy the heck out of them. And maybe they do that. Maybe they put Anthony Edwards on him. Two athletic guys on each other, just, matching up and seeing what happens. But I think it's going to be a interesting matchup. And when you think about guys like Dylan Brooks, you think about guys like Desmond Bane, Kyle Anderson, guys that can just spot up shoot. These are guys that the Wolves are going to have to watch out for. And they also are going to need the bench to come up big as they did in that first, it's not playoff game, but then the play-in game and down the stretch, as we talked about in that last game against Chicago. We think that they have a chance to be good if that bench shows up. A lot of different things that are in play, but I'm super excited to see these two teams match up because I think they match up well. And I think that, like I said, the Wolves have the talent to beat anybody. And I think if they rise up to their talent level, it should be a very, very fun and really theatrical series.
Game 1, Saturday afternoon tip-off at 2:30 Central Standard Time in Memphis. Again, the series is split so far in the regular season, 2-2, both games going to the home team. And by the way, the Memphis Grizzlies red hot at home, winning 19 of their last 22. So, again, you take a step back, you hear a 2 seed versus 7 seed, you think, all right, probably a long shot. But again, the talent, as you just mentioned, that the Minnesota Timberwolves have could pose a serious problem of their own for the Memphis Grizzlies. You can rest assured Reggie and I will be here Monday morning to break down all the action in what's sure to be a talented slugfest for the Wolves, who play their first playoff game, by the way, since 2018.